We begin with an update on the trade talks between Canada and the U.S. A veteran public servant and diplomat has been appointed the next chief trade negotiator to the United States. Prime Minister Mark Carney announcing that Janice Charette will take over from former Ambassador Kirsten Hillman. She'll be at the table during the review of the North American Free Trade Pact. Charette has served as the clerk of the Privy Council and secretary to the Cabinet. She also took on the role of High Commissioner to the UK. In a statement, Prime Minister Carney said, quote, "With 4 decades of experience in public policy and diplomacy, Janice Charette brings extraordinary leadership, expertise, and a deep commitment to advancing Canada's interests. As chief trade negotiator, she will advance Canadian interests and a strengthened trade and investment relationship that benefits workers and industries in both Canada and the United States." Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc posting on social media saying she will be a strong voice for Canada. He adds that he looks forward to working with Charette on the review of CUSMA and on strengthening the trade and investment relationship between Canada and the U.S. And joining me now is CTV News political commentator and former director of communications for Prime Minister Paul Martin, Scott Reid. Scott, thanks as always for joining us.
Morning, Roger. Afternoon, I guess I should say. It's family day, man. I'm sleeping in. Okay.
Yeah, it's still morning out on the West Coast. It's good. We're good. It's morning if you want. Charette, you had a chance to you crossed paths with her, right? Your thoughts on her?
Yeah. You know, incredibly well respected. Not one but 2 tours of duty as clerk of the Privy Council, which is the most senior member of the public service in Canada, High Commissioner of the United Kingdom, as you mentioned, for a number of years. I worked with her 20 years ago when she was a senior bureaucrat in the Department of Health. She was Associate Deputy Health Minister, help us to negotiate healthcare an accord with all provinces and territories. So this is someone who has vast, deep experience in public policy and public administration, and in dealing with not just domestic, but obviously international affairs. And she's just been handed the hottest file in the land, and a file that looks like it's bound to be hot, not just for 2026, but maybe for years to come.
What do you think her big strength is when it comes to this, trying to deal with Trump and the Americans?
There's a number of strengths. It is the depth of experience and the large range of contacts, but I think mostly it's her manner. It's her calm, focused, determined, don't finish the job until the job is finished manner. And I just say a couple of things. You know, this is not necessarily a predictable choice. She is somebody who served under previous prime ministers, Mr. Harper, Mr. Martin, obviously, and Mr. Trudeau most prominently. And it's interesting that he's reaching back for a seasoned bureaucrat as opposed to someone who's had long years of experience as a trade negotiator. And that, I think, is interesting. The second thing is she's a woman. And Donald Trump has been pretty crystal clear. He bristles when confronted with strong women. I think that's going to be a very interesting dynamic, and I think it's a very interesting choice because, again, I mean, we've seen time and again this White House lash out at strong women who speak up when they don't like it.
I don't think it'll affect her, though. She sounds like one of those people that just not bothered by what somebody else is going to say. Any concerns, any weaknesses that might worry you about her?
I think, you know, you'll hear maybe some people from the business community ask about the fact that she's not a seasoned trade expert, but we do know that she's had lots of experience in international relations, obviously, as we mentioned, serving in the United Kingdom, but obviously overseeing trade and other international organizations as part of her responsibilities as clerk of the Privy Council. And no, she won't blink. She won't be bothered by the belligerence of the Trump White House. She is steady as stone.
All right, and she's going to be working with Mark Wiseman, the new ambassador. How do you see them handling this?
I think that remains to be seen. It'll be interesting to see this idea of a chief negotiator. You have a chief negotiator, chief trade negotiator in most of these negotiations, NAFTA, FTA, CUSMA. So how is that going to be balanced with the responsibilities of Wiseman as our new ambassador to the United States? That remains to be seen. How much responsibility will the Prime Minister take himself directly? He's no shrinking violet when it comes to these matters. He has a point of view. So I think you're going to see a very tight, very senior team. You think about it now, Mark Carney has moved all the players and all the pieces into position. He knows this negotiation's coming up. He's going to lead it. He's got Dominic LeBlanc as his minister. He's got Janice Charette as chief negotiator, and he himself selected Mark Wiseman from the business community as ambassador. So that's the team, and pretty soon this event is set to begin.
And do you see her being at the front or for the next little while, or more working behind the scenes right now trying to put things together?
My guess is she's not going to be holding a bunch of press conferences. That's typically not the role of the chief trade negotiator. Occasionally they get dragged out into the media spotlight. But that role is most effective when it can work behind the scenes with trust, looking across the table, making demands, sometimes offering concessions, and speaking frankly with counterparts. So I wouldn't expect to see her out giving speeches all the time, but behind the scenes and with her counterparts in the United States, very important role. Her words will matter, and they will matter a great deal to industry and workers across the country.
Now, and I know they all have experience and everything, but it's a bit of a new team, I guess you could look at it at. Is that a good thing, or is that a bad thing, or not a concern?
Well, I think perhaps one of the reasons, when you look at the blend and the mix of new, old, experience in business, experience in public administration, you're seeing a balance here. So, Mark Wiseman, deep experience on both sides of the border in finance and business circles. And Janice Charette, equally deep experience, but as we said, in policy, public administration. So these are hopefully complementary skill sets that will serve Canada well. We'll be able to, so to speak, tag team.
And what are you going to be looking for over the next few months as the negotiations kind of start to ramp? I imagine they've been going on a little bit, but as they start to ramp up, what signs are you going to be looking for?
Couple of things. First of all, when do they really truly begin? How much work is happening right now? How many discussions at a preliminary level are occurring? We don't really know. We hear bits and pieces now and then. But when does the starter pistol really crack? That's the first thing. The second thing is, what will the posture of the United States be with respect to these talks in a formal, structured fashion? Will they try to negotiate bilateral deals with Canada and Mexico separately? Or will there be one table with 3 seats at it, as we've done in the past? The hints from the White House have been they want to do 2 separate deals, which suggests they want to divide and conquer, pit us against ourselves. I note there are news reports today that Canada and Mexican officials have been talking. I think that probably makes sense. So I'll be looking at least for those couple of things. And then the final thing, and that's the big question, how will Donald Trump start? Will he start by tearing it up and saying, I'm giving 6 months notice that we're abrogating free trade, we're leaving CUSMA? Or will it start more modestly with a series of negotiations over specific items? We just don't know.
All right, Scott, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it. Go back to Family Day.
Thanks, Roger. You too, with the camera there.
Cheers. That was CTV News political commentator Scott Reid.